welcome back to Kimmell and Cox, your source for all things entertainment. I'm Keith Cox. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend Dylan Kimmell. We hope everyone had a great Christmas. It was a cold one.
It was a very cold one.
How about this weather, man? Gosh, it is like unreal.
I haven't seen a Christmas like this in eons.
Yeah, like the Friday and Saturday leading up to Christmas we were looking at like single-digit temperatures, and with the wind chill, it was like 30 below zero. So
I hope you kept warm.
Brutal.
Yeah, I hope you kept warm during this. It's how was your Christmas? Did you have a good one?
Yeah, we had a great Christmas. It was just pretty chill. We had my mom over. She was staying with us because of the weather conditions and everything. We were worried that we might not be able to get to her if she needed anything, because of the snow and all that. So we invited her to come over and stay with us, and that was really good. We had a great time with her, and just had kind of a chill day. We got up Christmas morning and opened our presents together, and made a bunch of food and just snacked on stuff throughout the day, and watched movies and all that good stuff. So we did. We had a great time. So
that's good.
But I will definitely be looking forward to getting back to some more tolerable weather, which it looks like
for sure
the rest of this week. That's a possibility. It's looking like we're going to maybe get like around 60 degrees, I think, by the end of the week. So that'll be awesome. I will be looking forward to that for sure. Well, anyway, if you missed last week's episode, we talked about the Indiana Jones franchise, so be sure to check that out if you haven't seen it already. There was a lot of good stuff there. And today we're going to be talking about the Knives Out movies, which that's relevant because a new movie just came out on Friday, the 23rd, which is the second in the Knives Out franchise. It's called Glass Onion, a Knives Out Mystery. And so we thought, what better time to talk about those movies than right now with that new movie being out.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, just want to remind you again to be sure to follow us on our socials. You can catch us on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. We are on Instagram now.
We are.
I did not realize that. I thought that, I mentioned the whole Facebook thing last time, and I always thought that Facebook and Instagram were connected. That I didn't think you could have an Instagram account without having a Facebook account, but apparently you can.
Well, they are interlinked. They are like with the Meta.
Yeah, it's because I guess it's the same. It's the same company or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's weird. Like the Facebook didn't go through, so the Facebook account is still suspended. But we do have Instagram, and I just stumbled upon that because we got like an email notification or something through the podcast email saying that we had gotten a new follower on Instagram, and I'm like, I didn't think we had Instagram. So there's no content on there right now. There's no photos or anything because I didn't know the account was up. I didn't know we had it. So we've only got like 4 followers on there. One of which is our good friend Brandon Austin. He started following us on there. So we're gonna have to put some stuff on there for you guys now that we have that. But anyway, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, and right here on YouTube. You can also listen to us on Spotify, Amazon Music, Anchor, and RSS.com. So again, plenty of different places where you can catch the podcast, whether you're a visual person and you like to watch what's going on, or you just want to listen to the podcast, you got plenty of options to choose from there.
Yeah,
so
maybe going down, having a trip with your family and everything, just have a listen to us on there. It'd be a great time.
On your commute to work, on your way home from work, on your lunch break, whatever. Just try to catch us where you can. And we do have those links down below in the video's description for you, so be sure to check those out. And the most important thing, you will hear these 3 words a lot. We're going to be cramming them down your throat, but be sure to subscribe, like, and share. That's going to help us out tremendously. It's great that you guys are watching the show, listening to the show, and certainly all those views, really come in handy. But the big thing that we need is, we need subscribers, and we need you to hit that like button, because those are the things that YouTube really looks at to determine, is this podcast something that we think is worth sponsoring, something like that. We could get to a point where we could actually have advertisers that want to, advertise on our show, and that just helps to keep the podcast going and to make it a better looking podcast for you guys. So definitely keep those things in mind, and certainly keep watching, keep listening, but be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button, and tap that bell to make sure that you're receiving those notifications when a new episode drops, or when anything is being posted there. And let us know what you think. Be sure to leave your comments and questions for us. You can drop those in the comments on the YouTube video, or comment on our social media pages. But we would love to hear from you. We would love to get your feedback, and just to know what you think of the podcast, or if you have comments or questions about whatever we're talking about that week, or if you have ideas about something that you would like to talk about, like us to talk about on the podcast. We can certainly take those things into consideration. We're always open to suggestions. So be sure to do that, and it's just a way for you all to join in on the conversation as well. We can do this all day, but we want to hear from you, and we want to know what you think, and we want to just kind of have that interaction going with all of our viewers and listeners. So, yeah. Well, let's get into Knives Out. So I had not actually seen the first Knives Out movie until we decided we were going to.
Oh, really?
To talk about it. Yeah. So this is going to be interesting. Just to know what you thought about both movies,
yeah,
and kind of get that perspective there. So what was your impression of the first movie? Let's start with that.
Well, I had to rewatch it. Honestly, I don't do much rewatching of movies because I end up replaying it in my head, and I know what happens. But I guess I have a pretty good memory when it comes to what happens in a movie. But I decided I'd go ahead and rewatch it. I mean, it's a good enough movie to rewatch. And when I went to see the movie the first time, I was already pretty excited. I'm familiar with Rian Johnson's work.
Yeah.
He directed such films as Brick. I don't know if you've seen Brick. Brick is pretty good. It's got Joseph Gordon-Levitt in it.
Okay.
And it's very fast-paced talking type of, old school type of modernized old school kind of mystery.
Yeah.
Right. You know how in those old classic mystery movies that they would be talking really, really rapid. And,
yeah, just very rapid fire. Just
yeah, it's a very rapid fire dialogue in that movie. Very well written, and I'd say that was one of his. I don't think it was his exact first, but it was one of his first ones. It was one of his first ones they got really noticed by. And then there was there's the movie also starring Joseph Gordon-Levitt and Bruce Willis, Looper.
Oh, I did see Looper. Yeah.
Did you know that was Rian Johnson as also, or?
I didn't realize that was him. But.
And he also, I love the movie. Everyone else hated it. It was more like a split between it. Honestly, the modern franchise of Star Wars, the modern trilogy, whatever, they're not very good. But the second one, The Last Jedi, was really good because I had issues with the first one. But we'll get into that another time. That's like a whole other topic. But regardless, Rian Johnson did a phenomenal job on that, I thought. But because of the backlash they got from that, they went a different direction with the Star Wars franchise, and then he went off and did Knives Out, which honestly is, I think, probably the most creative of his films. And then it just got more creative when that sequel came out.
Yeah.
But back to Knives Out, it was I really enjoyed. I enjoy whodunit mysteries. They're really, really good.
Yeah.
My favorite whodunit, obviously, is, well, I don't know if you consider that a whodunit, but it's still a mystery. Sherlock Holmes, because that's
sure.
a whodunit, probably.
He's the world's greatest detective. So yeah.
But the formula in this one follows the Agatha Christie type of mysteries.
Yeah, and I've seen some of those too.
And obviously, Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc is kind of like Hercule Poirot. I can't even say his name.
Yeah.
Hercule.
Hercule. I don't know. It's like it's French. It looks like. It looks like Hercules. Without the S.
Yeah.
On the end, but it's I don't know exactly how it's Hercule Poirot. I don't know.
That was a lot better than I could have done. Which also those are pretty. The ones with Kenneth Branagh playing him is pretty good too.
Yes,
I thought
those are very good movies.
But Daniel Craig is Benoit Blanc, which is a lot easier to say. I really enjoy that character.
He really stole the show in the first movie. Like I felt like, the cast was great. The cast was incredible, but I think he really had a lot of fun with that role. You could tell that he was enjoying it, and it was surprising. Yeah. Like when he opened his mouth and started talking in this southern drawl, I was like, I didn't expect that to come from him. Of course, we're used to seeing him as James Bond, because he is the current James Bond. He's been playing that role for like the last 4.
Well, he's not James Bond anymore. They're looking for a new one now, but because he's up there in age now, if he did another one, he'd be like Roger Moore.
Yeah. Yeah, Roger Moore kind of took that probably a little bit farther than he should have. But no, I love this character. He is the only character that links the two movies. Mm-hmm. It's completely different cast in both films, so he's the only constant.
The interesting thing about the Knives Out, the first one, that I really, really liked was the fact that it really does kind of do something new with the whodunit thing as well, which is the main detective isn't really the main character of the first movie. I think he is more so in the second one.
Yeah.
But he's not in the first one. He's a secondary character in that first one.
He sort of slides in under the radar a little bit, and then by the end of the movie, it's kind of become his show by then.
And it's an interesting concept. I really like that idea, especially with the fact that, one, it's a very humorous character, and there is maybe a little bit of a spark of like intelligence in there, but maybe it's intelligence disguised as being dumb. I don't know. You don't really know that until the end, really, because when he starts spitballing. And honestly, it was probably a good idea that I watched it a second time. Because when I watched it the first time, I did not comprehend, because it was kind of like, how did he figure out that she was a good nurse, and and that's a bit of a spoilery. I haven't spoiled it, right?
Still? Well, that's okay because I said from the beginning when we started doing this podcast that if you haven't seen the movies or shows or whatever it is that we're talking about, then definitely don't watch, because we're not going to worry about giving out spoilers or whatever. We're just going to just kind of free flow talk about these things, plot details and all that stuff.
I'll even forget that's a spoiler at some point, and then afterwards I'll be like,
yeah, it's like, oh, did I just give that away?
So we don't want any hate mail if it ends up being spoiled. But it was. I had to give it a second watch because I couldn't comprehend how he solved that case, and then when I watched it the second time, I was like, oh, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah,
that was really, really smart.
There were a lot of twists, which is what I liked. It threw you off guard at different points in the movie where you thought you knew where it was going, but then they threw a curveball in there, and so I really like that. I like that about a mystery movie.
Interesting thing about the posters. I was looking at the IMDb trivia page, and then I went back and I actually looked at the posters to see if it was true. It's true. The second build person in the poster is the murderer.
Right.
And then the "and" part, when it reaches the "and," if you look at the posters with the credits, the "and" part is the person that's actually the victim.
Yeah, that is interesting.
Kind of like a dead giveaway. They're probably going to change that for the third one when they make that.
But yeah, I mean, there are like so many people in this movie. You had Chris Evans.
Oh yes,
as Ransom Drysdale, who, again, a spoiler alert here, but he turns out to be the murderer. You have Ana de Armas as the nurse, Marta Cabrera. Mm-hmm. I saw her in what is the name of that movie? She was in a movie with Ben Affleck. I saw it not too long ago, and I can't remember now for the life of me. I've got to look that up because I don't remember what the name of the movie was.
I don't remember either. But she was
really
also
good in that too.
She was also in another movie with Ryan Gosling and Harrison Ford. Do you know which one I'm talking about? Also featured Dave Bautista, actually, and Jared Leto.
Deep Water. That's the name of the one she was
Water.
In with Ben
Affleck.
Which also came out this year. It's a newer movie, so.
Okay.
But yeah. But she was. As soon as I saw her, I was like, oh yeah, I remember her from that movie. But she was good.
Blade Runner 2049.
Okay. Yeah. See, I saw Blade Runner, but I didn't see.
Oh, you didn't see the sequel?
The sequel. Yeah.
The sequel is very good. Honestly, it's pretty much like even with the first one, which is not a bad thing, I don't think. But
if you're going to do that, at least if you're going to do a sequel, you at least want it to be on par with the original. It doesn't necessarily have to be better, but as long as they're on an equal plane.
And they're in a very equal plane because the second one did just about as well as the first one did when it was in the box office, which is not very good. So, but it's earned a cult following just the same as the first one.
Yeah, sure.
So, Ana de Armas. Who else is in it? Jamie. You said Jamie Lee Curtis, right?
Oh no, actually, yeah, I was gonna mention her next. Jamie Lee Curtis as Linda Drysdale, who is Ransom, Chris Evans' mother in the film, and of course she's always great. I mean, she always brings it, everything that she does. So.
Oh, and then there's we mentioned Don Johnson.
Don Johnson, yeah. There was somebody that he was playing Richard Drysdale, Linda's husband. That was somebody else that I had not seen in a little while.
Oh yeah,
it's like everybody probably knows him from Miami Vice. That was really the show that kind of made him a star, and then later on Nash Bridges. That was actually a good show too.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, it was great to see him.
I mean, it really is really good cast. Michael Shannon,
Mm-hmm.
and we cannot. And also, Michael Shannon just so happens to be from Lexington, Kentucky. So,
Oh right, yeah, I'd forgotten about that.
and so I just had to say that because when you're from Lexington, you have to be like, oh, that person's from there.
Oh yeah, you gotta represent, because there's more of them now than there used to be. There's, or just from Kentucky in general, because you have like Jennifer Lawrence and so they're starting to Kentucky is starting to be represented a lot more in the entertainment industry.
And and we cannot forget the late and great Christopher Plummer.
Christopher Plummer, absolutely, yeah.
Which, I mean, till the very end, he just was phenomenal in pretty much everything.
Yeah, he's so great at playing, villainous characters as well as just the like traditional family man type. Of course, he was in The Sound of Music, and then but he did a lot of he did a lot of like sort of suspenseful thriller movies too. He was like horror movies and things like that.
He did a lot. I mean, I believe he replaced what's his face in a movie called The Color. Was it The Color of Money? Is that the name? Or All the Money in the World? All the Money in the World?
I don't know. Can't remember.
The Color of Money is a different movie, I think. Now I'm spaced out.
And
it was a movie that came out in like 2015, I think, 2016, somewhere around there. It has Mark Wahlberg in it, and someone out there has got to correct me on this because I know the movie. I can see the trailer in my head, and I can see who it was. It was Kevin Spacey he replaced.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. If you guys, catch us in anything or whatever, if we're having a brain fart, we can't remember. There's so many things like bouncing around in our head, because we've seen so many movies and TV shows and stuff. It's crazy.
I mean, listen, I got like 500 movies on my streaming list, so on my Vudu.
Oh gosh, I've probably seen. I guarantee you, I've seen. In the thousands of movies, and probably close to 1,000.
Oh, I've no doubt. Because I actually remember, I am really surprised at how well I remembered all the movies that I watched from my childhood. Because I went on the Letterboxd and actually developed. I actually liked every single movie I could possibly remember, and every single movie that I could possibly remember, it's in the thousands, right there. So yeah, it's definitely. I read something that a person watches 100,000 movies in a lifetime.
I could believe that.
So for anyone that actually thinks, man, that's a lot, nah, it's not really all that lot.
You can accumulate that a lot quicker than you think.
Yeah.
So, but one of the things that I really liked about this movie is it kind of. There were kind of some tropes there, like your typical murder mystery tropes. The whole thing about you have this wealthy gentleman who decided in his will to leave everything to his nurse instead of his family, because basically his family is just a bunch of assholes. They're all just, they all have their problems, but they're all just kind of in different ways. They're all sort of, shitty people. They're either like they're entitled. You have the classic like Tony Collette, who plays his his daughter or granddaughter. I think it's his daughter.
It's no. I don't think because one of them. I'm trying to think.
I think it's
That's
I think it was his daughter because she had a daughter. She had a daughter. And he was supporting her.
She's the daughter-in-law
through college. Okay, yeah, that's right. But yeah, that was the classic thing of like you have a spoiled kid or relative or whatever that just wants your money. They don't really care anything about you, and so that was sort of a classic trope with a mystery is like, he leaves everything to the person that they would least expect. But they did it. They did this in such a way that it was different than what you were used to seeing in a typical murder mystery. So they took that, what may have normally been a cliche and figured out a way to do it just a little bit differently. So I thought that was great.
Oh, yeah. And and the way that Rian Johnson actually wrote it, man, he can write. He can really write. Like, and I'm kind of jealous because I don't know if I can write something like that.
Don't sell yourself short, because I've read a lot of your stuff, and I think it's very creative. The thing with you is that you can't really put you in a box. You can because you can write for so many different types of genres. You can do comedy, you can do action, you can do horror, you can do suspense / thriller. So that's good. I mean, that's a good, definitely a good quality to have as a writer. So
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The craziest thing is like the level of thought that he put into this, just the way it would all play out, and not only that, he's not afraid to have funny moments either, because there's some funny moments. Just the dialogue from.
I love
there's a donut, like a donut.
Right? Yeah, the donut thing. Yeah. Like I couldn't even repeat that dialogue now if I tried. But it was so great. It was like one of those classic comedy things where a character is he understands it in his head and he's trying to explain it to somebody else, and they're just kind of looking at him like, "What you're talking about?" The hole. There's a hole in the donut, and that hole has another hole in it, and it's like he's trying to explain his logic, in figuring out, the answer to this mystery. But yeah, that was great, and I loved with the Ana de Armas character Marta. I love how she throws up every time she lies.
Wouldn't that be very useful in real life?
That would be terrible. Like, just imagine that. I mean, it's good for the other person, because if they're trying to get the truth out of you, I mean, you can't get anything past them. I mean, but it's a very unfortunate side effect of lying. But I just thought that was like so great and so everybody knew that. That she was lying, because I guess it just turned her stomach so much that she couldn't.
She probably can't do very good at getting birthday presents and Christmas gifts.
Right. It's like, oh, I love it. Just everybody would be pissed at her and be like, I thought that was a great. There's a lot of really fun moments like that in the movie. Some comedy along with the drama. There's a nice little mix there.
And I mean, oh, geez, it's one of those things that's like Daniel Craig really is having fun with this. Even on the sequel, Dave Bautista was saying the exact same thing about him. Like, he's having a whole lot of fun. He can tell. And it's so funny because I think we said this on the last podcast, though, that or maybe it was the second. I think we said it several times, maybe. But the audience can tell when you're actually having a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
And in turn, they will have fun. And It's an interesting thing because he took the role of James Bond very seriously, and
probably was, for me anyway. He was one of the best. I would probably place him like maybe third behind, Sean Connery and Pierce Brosnan. I actually liked Pierce Brosnan as James Bond, so I would put Daniel Craig probably third on that list as the best James Bond.
Yeah, he's definitely in my top 3 as well. I do like him a little bit more than Pierce Brosnan, so he's just edged there. But yeah, he's definitely in my top 3.
Yeah. But it was nice to see him in a very different sort of role, and someone who again is very very likable and very comedic, and just to see him having fun with that. So I was really happy to see that he came back for the sequel, because I didn't know if he would. So let's get into that, talking about the new movie, since that's perhaps a little bit more relevant.
Glass Onion.
Glass Onion, yes. Which the title comes from let's say the intended victim of the murder in the new movie. He's extremely wealthy, and he has invented what he thinks is going to revolutionize fuel. Was it hydrogen?
There's hydrogen in there.
There's hydrogen in it.
Yeah, he's calling it clear with the K.
Right. Yeah, and so he thinks this is going to, once it catches on, it's going to make fuel more economical, and so anyway, he's very eccentric, and he has built this massive home, this complex, almost entirely out of glass, and like the main house is this giant glass onion, and so it was really really cool, really interesting to see the way that all of that was laid out.
An interesting thing about the title of the movies, both movies, I don't know if you realize that they were both named after a song.
Oh, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't know that.
I can't remember what the Knives Out one was, but it was some sort of song. But Glass Onion, there's a lyric in the Beatles song. What is it? Is it Strawberry Fields? Is that the one? No. It's a Beatles song. And there's a line in there where I think it's a John Lennon one, where he mentions a glass onion. So that's where that came from, was from that. And actually, that very song is actually the song that's used at the ending of the movie.
Okay.
I'm not for sure if the song for Knives Out was the one with the Knives Out lyric or not, but it definitely was for Glass Onion.
Yeah, this one was another one that just had a stellar cast.
Oh, yeah.
Of course, Daniel Craig is back as Detective Benoit Blanc, and Edward Norton plays Miles Braun, the eccentric millionaire and the inventor of Clear. Was so great to see him because I hadn't really seen him in much of anything lately. I know you had said that he had mostly been doing Wes Anderson movies for a while, which are a little bit more like artsy kind of films as opposed to mainstream. But certainly great to see him. I think I became a fan of Edward Norton from playing Bruce Banner in The Incredible Hulk from 2008. I think, this is just my opinion, but behind the late Bill Bixby, of course, and his portrayal of Banner was just masterful. But behind him, I think Edward Norton probably played that character the best. And it's such a shame that he didn't continue to play Banner in the Avengers movies. He was supposed to, but apparently he was...
It would have been better, honestly. I mean, I love Mark Ruffalo and everything.
Yeah, and
but,
he's great, too.
Yeah. But honestly, I felt like Edward Norton was much more closer to... He was very much like a thread between Bill Bixby's portrayal and the comic book version.
Yeah, there was a nice balance there.
And I think even Lou Ferrigno even said that he reminded him of Bill Bixby.
He definitely had that same sort of quiet, sort of that quiet spirit about him, and so yeah, that I thought he was terrific in that. And so, but it was great to see him in this movie, and I thought he did a terrific job with this character and playing out all those eccentricities. A lot of other great people in this. Kate Hudson as Birdie J, who's a little bit. She's a little bit of a flake. She's a little bit on the a little spacey.
A little bit ditzy.
Side. But
doesn't even know what sweatshops are. Thought they were.
That was great. Her character invented these sweatpants called Sweetie Pants, and I guess they like really swept the market. And she's on magazine covers and everything. And but that was so funny that like her assistant who. Just to back up a little bit, the whole thing with this movie is that the Miles Braun character invites all of his friends to come to his home that's on this private island, and he wants them to come to his murder mystery party. He's scripted this elaborate murder mystery where he is supposed to die, and they have to figure out who his killer is. But what he doesn't count on is that one of his friends, who has a twin sister, one of his friends actually gets murdered, and so her twin sister hires Benoit Blanc to find her sister's killer, and she believes that Miles is involved in that, and so. She pretends to be her twin sister to go to this party, and then she invites Benoit to come along and basically solve the mystery for her. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing about it is that he sits everybody down. Miles sits everybody down to explain the rules of the game and everything. Yeah. And Benoit he solves it. Like he solves it within minutes, because it just
before the murder even begins.
Right. Yeah. Like the game hasn't even started yet, and his keen powers of observation. He's like, oh well, you've got this. There's this crossbow over here, and Birdie, is an expert, at an expert shot or whatever, and she's lined this up perfectly, with him, to kill him, and so he basically ruins the murder mystery party. But then everything takes a turn for the worse. We all figure that Miles is going to really be killed, but then there's a few twists and turns along the way. You have Dave Bautista, who's playing Duke Cody, who ends up being poisoned. Because Miles slips him, like he switches drinks with him.
And it's not even real poison, it's just apple juice.
It's pineapple.
Pineapple,
yeah. Pineapple juice.
Pineapple
because he says earlier in the movie he's allergic to pineapple. And so literally he just puts some pineapple juice in his drink and he falls over dead.
You know what's an interesting thing about this movie too is that Daniel Craig's Benoit Blanc actually states earlier in the movie, like they're discussing what their battle plan is, him and the twin, and he says, What was Edward Norton's character's name? Was it Miles?
Miles Braun. Yeah.
And he says that no, he's too intelligent to go out and actually kill her himself. The twin. No, he's actually stupid.
Yeah, we find that out later, that he's not really as smart as he believes himself to be. There's a flashback in the movie where
he even says in that flashback, fake it till you make it.
Yeah, and all of his friends are gathered there, and he talks about how he wants to be, he wants his name to be remembered in the same breath as the Mona Lisa. Like he has that, he's that egocentric that he wants to be famous, wants to be remembered, for all time, and he thinks that this invention is going to do it, and then his friends discovered that his home, the glass onion, that the whole space is actually powered by clear. But what we discover later is that it's actually highly dangerous, and it's basically just a big fireball waiting to happen, which ultimately is what happens at the end of the film. His home gets blown up, and now he realizes that he's got nothing. He's got nothing left. He's got nothing left to show for all of this work, all of his money. He actually owned the Mona Lisa thing. He actually has the Mona Lisa in his home. We discovered that there was, due to the pandemic, people were just not going to museums and everything as much as they used to. They were losing money, and so supposedly they sold him the Mona Lisa, and he's got it protected under this shield that that's supposed to be like, it's like anytime anything, if there's a fire or anything like that, the shield goes up and it's supposed to protect the painting so that he doesn't, because that's basically like an investment for him.
I don't know if you've noticed this, but back to I'll connect it to the second one as well. But in the first one, there's a picture of a painting of Christopher Plummer's character, right? I don't know if you noticed this, but the facial expression on that painting changes as the movie goes on.
I didn't catch that.
Yeah, as the movie goes on, at one point it's like very, deadpan, and then very, kind of. I believe there's one where he's like kind of upset, maybe, but near the end he's kind of smiling.
Yeah.
And interesting thing, I don't know if you noticed this too, but when she reaches out for that little statue, that little clown statue thing, the facial expression on that changes too. It went from like just a plain.
Oh, I did see that. I did see that. Like the statue kind of changes to like like an expression of surprise. Like, oh shit.
Yeah. So that was the exact same. It was like. Yeah.
But but that's funny about the painting because they talked about the Mona Lisa and how there was a
you can correlate those.
That supposedly, because of the way that it was painted, that you can look at it from different angles, and supposedly the expression changes. So it's funny that the painting of Walter Thrombey is the one that actually changes throughout the movie. So that was a nice little nod, a nice little link between the two movies there too. But it was just, like I said, I enjoyed the second one a lot more than the first one. I think the first one was a little bit, the pacing was a little slow. It kind of dragged on a little bit. But the second one was just fun. It was just enjoyable to watch.
And the interesting thing about whodunit movies, if there's too serious, I find them not rewatchable.
Yeah.
Because you already know, because the excitement of watching a whodunit movie is trying to figure out, who done it.
Yeah.
And that's why they call them whodunits, people are trying to solve the mystery along with it. It's kind of like its own little mystery party thing, and the trying to think. The basic thing is that these movies, this is what I was getting at. These movies they are entertaining to watch on repeat, because it's not just the whodunit, but there's humor throughout them, especially in that second one.
Yeah.
Because he went and he did see what was really resonated with the first one, which was the humor of it all, the eccentricities of all these people. And then he amped it up for the sequel. And it is a phenomenal creative endeavor. Like, just the way that the world is crafted in such a... And another thing, this is like one of the first movies that I can even recall that has ever even mentioned the real life COVID-19 pandemic.
Yeah, there's a few that have kind of made mention of it, or have maybe incorporated it into the plot somehow with characters wearing masks and things like that.
And that's.
But there hasn't been a lot of that.
It's kind of been like people trying to forget that actually happened, which is probably not a good thing.
Or it's just mentioned casually, just as a passing thing, a passing comment.
And I guess they kind of did do that after a while too with this movie too. Like, it was only in like the first few minutes there, and then oh, you're good, you don't need it, because he has some sort of cure. What was that? Where is that?
Yeah, it's like, where is that? Where was that cure at? Because it seems like that would have been an even more profitable thing to want to release to the world than this alternative fuel source.
Yeah.
I don't know, but very both very fun movies. I would highly recommend them to anybody. So be sure to check both of those out. Now the first one is available, I think, on the majority of streaming services, but the second one was a
exclusive
Netflix,
to Netflix.
Exclusive, yeah. So definitely be sure to check both of those out. But it looks like we are just about out of time for today. But before we go, as always, just want to remind all of you about our Patreon page. Be sure to go and check that out. We could really use your help and your support to make this a better podcast. Every dollar you donate goes towards things like production costs, getting better equipment, and hopefully being able to get a permanent studio space. And you guys can be a tremendous help in that regard. We have some pretty cool benefits on there as well. We have memberships as low as $5 going up to $100 per month. So be sure to go on there and take a look at all those, see if there's anything on there that interests you. But we want to take this thing to the next level. We want to be the best that we can possibly be, and we want to be able to entertain you guys and keep you coming back week after week. So if we can get lucky enough to get some sponsorship opportunities and things like that, then we can do all kinds of things. We can look fancy. So be sure to check out that Patreon page and see if there's anything on there that catches your attention, and just give what you can. Every little bit helps. What next week? We hadn't really talked about next week. What do we want to talk about next week? Normally we have this planned in advance.
Kind of skipped on that.
I don't know. What are you thinking?
I'm very much enthralled by this movie. It's been on my mind a while, and I was going to do a review on it to hold on to.
Right. Yeah, to keep the podcast going because we had that scheduling conflict there.
It just never happened. So I'm thinking, why not? Because I am very curious on what your thoughts would be over it too, because it seems very relevant on what we want to accomplish ourselves. So I think you know which movie I'm thinking of. If not, then I'll go ahead and say The Fabelmans.
Oh, right. Yeah. You did mention that. That's a movie you said it's supposed to be semi-autobiographical on Steven Spielberg's life.
It is semi-autobiographical. And I'm wondering what is exactly false in that, because the only thing I've so far found out is just the names being switched around. I'm sure there's some sort of little, changes there. I mean, there'd have to be. It's a film. You'd have to do something to change it. But The Fabelmans. Partly inspired by Steven Spielberg's own coming-of-age story.
Yeah. Well, there you go. So next week's episode, we will be talking about The Fabelmans. So be sure to check that movie out. And again, feel free to join in on the discussion. Send us your comments, questions, whatever, and we'll try to take a look at that, and we'll have a good time. So, but that is all the time we have for today. But in the meantime, we hope you guys are staying safe out there, and more importantly, as always, be good to yourselves. And we'll see you next week.
You dipstick.